Oh boy, today's title is fitting. Why? Well, it seems like Disney's The Marvels is poised to join a string of recent Disney disappointments at the box office. As projected by Box Office Pro, Mr. H, Valiant Renegade, WDW Pro, Tom Connors, and myself, anyone will arrive at this conclusion if given the right information. So let's examine Disney's box office performance for the foreseeable future based on the previous 18 social engineering experiences that they've had diminishing returns with in the past. Hey Marvels, we're on ya. Here we go. Now, before we get started, a quick reminder that we are working on our way to 15K by the end of the year. So if you're one of those 40% of folks that are still not subscribed, please consider doing so today. It's free and it really does help expand the channel. And with that, we'll go on to today's story. And we'll start here by citing various factors that Box Office Pro's forecast places The Marvels within an opening range of 50 to 75 million domestically. And that's with a total projected gross of just 121 million to 189 million. That's less than stellar. The outlook is comparable to some recent cinematic misfires like Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, Black Adam, and Eternals, not to mention Flash and some other stuff, but that's a different brand entirely. What makes this even worse is the substantial production cost, which is about $275 million, excluding any of the promotional things that they have to do to, well, advertise the movie. There's also an argument that could be made for the fact that, well, Disney's budgets are never quite what they say at the end of the day. And evaluating data that's coming out of Companies House in the UK, which is where a lot of these films are being made, you seem to find revised budgets a couple years down the road. And then you find out that the films weren't really profitable to begin with. Now, critics argue that Disney's priorities have shifted away from profit. Hard to argue with that. They're focusing more on delivering what they perceive as a message of wokeness. And I'll be quite blunt when I use these words now. So as a result, Disney has invested nearly $300 million in Marvels, which is a direct sequel to Captain Marvel from 2019, which stars one of the most unappealing, humorless, and unrelatable superheroes since Miracle Man. And to put it in perspective, Miracle Man was a superhero dreamt up by a 12-year-old, much like Captain Marvel, and shared the characteristic of being invisible. However, unlike Captain Marvel, Miracle Man had a rather uncomfortable focus on matters of a much more mature nature. Now, increasingly, Disney has decided to invest $300 million in a movie featuring Brie Larson along with the star of a streaming show, make that 2 stars of 2 streaming shows that didn't sit all that well with Marvel fans. Now, it seems Disney's strategy is to boost its DEI once more by exploring some avenues with characters so that they have one of them may potentially have a same-sex love interest. And I'm not sure how that goes down in a lot of households across the globe, but, well, they're challenging some countries here, for sure. Now, of course, I don't know that for certain, and it could certainly be cut. It may already have been, because, well, Disney's been doing a lot of that lately, and the Marvel's runtime is shorter than any other Marvel film to date, at least in the modern era. But what I've noticed recently is that Disney has, well, certainly not been all that invested in quieting the noise. So I wouldn't be surprising if they left something like that in if it existed in the first place. Again, speculation on my part. But the rationality of moves like those, despite their potential impact on box office returns, is often questioned, especially by pundits and analysts alike. And then, of course, you have people like me who look at it as well and talk about it. One might point out that Captain Marvel did gross about 427 million domestically and over 1.13 billion worldwide. But it's essential to remember the context, because Captain Marvel was released right in the midst of Marvel's peak, aligning with the penultimate Avengers Infinity War and the finale Avengers Endgame. The Marvel fever was at its zenith, its fever pitch, making it a surefire hit. Drawing parallels to Disney's recent decisions, it becomes evident how disconnected the studio is from the reality of its audience, which is, well, quite disconnected. Disney, with its ownership of iconic brands and franchises such as Pixar, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Marvel, appears to have undertaken a risky endeavor by tampering with these cherished properties to satisfy a radical and anti-family agenda, one that now they are actually at loggerheads over with 50% of their once loyal customers. That doesn't seem a sound business strategy to me, but it's important to point out that it was all led by Bob Iger himself at every single level. Taking into account production budgets and promotion expenses, the Marvels will need to surpass $750 to $850 million in global earnings to achieve financial equilibrium. That's their break-even point. Worse yet, as time unfolds, we may witness its sluggish descent at the box office, a fate many might argue, including myself, it actually deserves, landing it amidst the pile of controversial, ideologically driven cinematic endeavors that we've come to know that Disney is, well, solely focused on. So far, for the long-term corporate health of the Walt Disney Company, this has been a terrible strategy. Just look at how much in the doldrums they are, especially if you look at their corporate value. Who knows, perhaps Disney's upcoming Wish may provide another opportunity for a box office backlash, but who am I kidding? Of course it will. Anyway, what do you think? Has Disney's approach to franchises influenced its recent box office disappointments? Have the efforts at social engineering been worth the collapse in asset and corporate value? And how does the pitiful film have a shot at success, in case you think it might? Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. I'd like to see those. And as always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya!